roots.
Good to go.
Okay, so let's look at our first pass at long last, double underpass. So again, just land you in your back row. I'll just turn this way, please. So this is probably the first pass you should be learning, because once I bring my hands under Tyrone's legs, kind of takes away a lot of his submissions. I don't know, armbar, triangle, do your shit there.
From this position?
It's really not going to happen. Offensively I'm safe, whereas if I was here, arm bars, triangles, all that stuff, even, get your sleeve grips, leg lassos, all that stuff, yeah, pick it back, do them now. So if I get Tyrone into this position, yes, there's things he can do, he can play heavy legs and stuff, but 9 times out of 10, if I get my hands here, I'm in a pretty safe position. Unfortunately, this can be difficult, especially if Tyrone's feet are lower than his knees. I'm trying to actually get my arms in here and all this jazz. So we're going to look at a way of getting this from a neutral position. So there's 13 steps to this. I read like there's 13, I swear to God there is. There's 13 layers to this. So the first thing I'm thinking about is I need access to his hamstrings. Right? Now I've already covered a lot of concepts about Tyrone's feet are pointing at me. So the first move of 13 is I don't want to enter past, or I don't want to step through his toe line. So in other words, if I actually make a step past the line of Tyrone's toes, then he can start making a connection. And now we're back into, remember the 5 stages of yard passing, removing connection. So I don't want to get into any of that battle. So I'm keeping my knee outside his toe line. Now I don't want to enter with my hands to here, because now Tyrone can get sleeve control and then he can bring us to and that's another battle. So step number 2 is, when I enter from standing, I want to expose his hamstrings. So there's 2 methods of doing this. I can grab the soles of his feet and just push his feet up so that they're higher than his knees, or I can grab his heels and do the same thing. So that's step number 2. So step number 1 is I never pass the toe line. Step number 2 is I expose his hamstrings. Okay. Step number 3 is I level change down and bring my shoulder underneath the back of his knee, because this is where I want. Right, his leg is on my knee. So that's step number 3. Step number 4 is I do not want to be on the center line, because anytime I'm here on the center line, Tyrone can play heavy legs. It's just that I'm trying to actually get this onto my shoulder is difficult. So the second I am here, I actually cut a little angle. So I want to be on a diagonal line. So if you actually draw a line between Tyrone's hip and his shoulder, that's the angle that's the angle I want to be at. I don't want to be on the center line. So if I'm actually more at this angle and Tyrone starts to try and play heavy legs, it doesn't really matter, I'm passing anyway. So let's take it back a step. So 1, I don't pass the toe line. 2, I don't want his feet pointing at me, so I push them straight up so his feet are pointing in the air, and now his hamstrings are exposed. 3, I level change down so this is on my shoulder. Now 4 is I'm moving sideways to Tyrone. Okay, so once I shuffle and I get onto this diagonal line, if I don't make a connection to Tyrone, Tyrone can turn his body this way to face me, and now I've lost the angle again, if that makes sense. So once I get onto the diagonal line, Tyrone can, yep, I get that way, perfect. So now we're going to make a connection. Alright, now, when I make the connection, again, we're going to look about grabbing the lapel sort of below his sternum here. Because if I come too far towards the head, I have head control, but now I have elbow exposure, whereby Tyrone can use his left hand and push in my elbow, And now you can, like Heisman, bring your foot inside. Perfect. And bring your knee inside. Yep. So this is good for head control, but the problem is now there's elbow exposure. So we're going to go more shallower. So once I make this initial grip here, I'm going to clamp my elbow to the body, and now I've got that diagonal line. Anytime Tyrone tries to get it back, tries to push in the elbow. So now I don't have head control, but I have good elbow control, or not exposing my elbow. But now I'm connected to them. And so I'm on the diagonal line. Tyrone tries to get that back. Difficult, why? Because I'm connected to them. Okay, so let's take it back a step. So, from our position, 1, I don't pass the toe line. 2, I get his feet pointing in the air. 3, a level change down, and I have this in my shoulder. 4, I'm going to make a connection quite low, and I find that diagonal line. Okay. 5, I'm turning my body sideways, more perpendicular, and my other hand grabs the back of the pants. And now I start to bring his knees pointing away to me. Now again, we covered this last time. I'd be bringing Tyrone's feet nearly touching the mat at this stage, but we're not going to do this in each other because my back was in spasms after that. So once I make the grip and I start to bring Tyrone's feet towards the mat, I'm going to make a wedge with my knee here. Okay. Now from that position, now I take my right knee off the mat, so Tyrone's carrying my weight. So it's this. Sorry. No, it's not nice for the way. Man. So we're here. Now, from this position, I'm going to do this with my knee on the mat because I know how bad this is, but I should have my knee off the mat at this stage. Once I have him like in that inverted position, this hand that had the shallow grip is going to slide down the collar to get head control. I'm going to put my fist on the mat, but I wouldn't be normally doing this, so I'm not carrying my weight. My knees off the mat. I bring my head over Tyrone's head. My knees off the mat, then I arch my back, and I drop my elbow down. And now I'm in the side control. I'll let him experience it once when he's carrying my weight. We're only going to do this once, but this sucks big time. Normally I wouldn't have my fist on the mat, because if I'm pushing my fist into the mat, he's not carrying my weight. Again, this is just pure fundamentals of the pressure passing. If you put someone in a pressure pass, they just want you to pass their guard because it's just so uncomfortable. So, from our position, 13 things. 1, I don't pass the toe line. 2, I get his feet in the air so his hamstrings are exposed. 3, I level change down so my shoulder drops in. 4, I make a shallow grip and connect my elbow to my body. 5, I get on the diagonal line, hip and shoulder. Okay. So now 6, I start to turn my body sideways. My other hand grabs the back of the pants and I start to elevate so his knees are pointing away. 7, I make a wedge with my knee. 8, this hand slides down to the collar. 9, I take my knee off the mat. Okay. 10, I arch my back. Once I arch my back, I'm bringing my head 11 over Tyrone's head. And now from that position, I arch 12 and then I establish side control 13. Okay, so let's look at that again. There is a lot in that. Sorry bro, you're not carrying me weight again. So this is just one way into it. We'll cover different variations later on. But this is just a safe way into it. The thing we want to be thinking about is when would I enter the double unders. Let's just say I step in. If I can't, because we talked about how do I get Tyrone's back when we were looking at concepts, how do I get Tyrone's feet not pointing at me? We looked at 3 different ways. 1 was up here, okay, which is what we're doing. 2 was pushing them down, and 3 was pushing them to the side. So if I stepped in, not past his toe line, and I physically couldn't get his legs up to expose his hamstrings, because Tyrone was pulling his legs down, I would suggest not going for the double underpass. Anytime you cannot see his hamstrings, this is not the time to double underpass. But the time is if I can get his feet elevated. So from our position, 1, I don't go past the toe line. 2, I get his feet in the air. 3, I drop down, level change, so this is physically on my shoulder. So I don't actually go from here and try to lift it up, it's there. Okay. 4, I make that shallow grip and connect my elbow. 5, I get on the diagonal line. So if Tyrone tries to follow me from there, I can stay ahead of the game. 6, a grip in the pants. 7, turn sideways. 8, bring his knees so they're pointing away from me, and I bring him right to the mat at this stage. 9, I make the wedge. 10, this hand comes in to get head control. 11, I bring my head over Tyrone's head and I lift my knee off the mat so he's carrying my weight, but I'll keep my fist on the mat so he's not. 12, arch my back, and now this elbow comes across and I'm into control. 1, 13. Okay, that's you, bro. That's a lot of that. Alongside.